Hello, let's learn kanji. This is the second part of the study about at the potter's house. The verse 3 will say, Then I went down to the potter's house, and there he was, making something at the wheel. It says, 私は陶器師の家へ下っていた。見ると彼はロークルで仕事をしていたが。We will be studying 見、彼、仕事。This is the character of to see, to look. 見 like in 見る. And it depicts, according to the dictionary, a kneeling human figure with a large eye for a head. If you are seated, you are in a resting position, so you can dedicate better and longer attention in what you are doing. Like in a classroom, you most likely will be seated during the class. Also, your default position watching series may not be standing, right? So this economic position allows to invest energy in the contemplation of the element depicted, the act of look itself. About this character, it was complicated to think on something for this one. The character for he, the third person, kare. It is also used in kanojo when saying about she, but then it adds woman character after. It is like for the third person. It is a complicated one. For this character, the first part of this study is so the character of I, like in ikinasai, which is to go. The Dong Chinese will say that the character is composed by the left part of that which depicts a straight intersection, plus a hand peeling off the skin from an animal. So to remember this one, the third person of the conversation many times is seen as you are crossing the path. You notice from afar but not necessarily engage in conversation. The peeling of the skin of an animal seems a little like a disguise, as in blurring the identity, because without the name or not referring directly to the person literally in front of, can easily confuse the listener, as in a big group of people or if many mentioned names. This is the kanji of official, she. It depicts, according to the Dong Chinese, a person and an scholar. The scholar one, it will say that represents the head of an axe. Instead of depicting it as a person with some sort of aches, I wanted to depict it as a higher level of knowledge in a certain topic, not basic, like base level. Because scholars needed to study many things anyway to try to become officials. The one who's ranked above because reached depth in a certain matter. Knowledge. There is much to learn, but already got a deep notion. It is the character for thing or matter. It is goto or koto. In this case, goto because of shigoto. And to try to remember this character, I wanted to bring a picture of bamboo leaves, which were used to write also. So the Dong Chinese site says that these four characters are all etymologically related and all derive from the same ancient character depicting a hand holding a container for writing utensils. These two were originally written the same, but later an extra mark was added to distinguish them. So you are kinda grabbing what was said and registering it. And to remember, the mouth is the most basic form of telling an history. Since the hand is getting something writing related, I depict as a second moment the square as bamboo slips, as an old form of writing. Lastly, the center stroke becomes a pencil brush, the thing or mother character mostly have an elaborated hand down there, so the focus on grabbing these events. The verse 4 will say, "And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again into another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to make." It says, "Nendo de tsukutte ita utsuwa gaその人の手の中で沈んでたので、彼は自分の意のままにそれを持って他の器を作った." We will be studying 念のつく人手中損自分意. The character of sticky, which is nen, it is in the modern form composed by rice in the left, but previously it was a millet. And what they have in common is that both of them are glutinous, or can be glutinous when cooked. About the right part, it can be seen better in the previous version, but we can see an oracle bone in the previous versions of that character. And I got some pictures to illustrate these forms of divination here, like the tortoise plastron, one of them, and the oracle bone. We can see that the oracle bone will have some holes and cracks, and the non-Chinese will say that that format represents the crack and the holes. Another picture of oracle bone, and this one more similar to the older versions of that character, which could see the shape around. So the Dong Chinese says that it represents grains of rice, the left part, and the right part says that it represents ancient China fortune tellers analyzed cracks and holes in shells and bones for the purpose of divination, just like rice or millet as previously can have glutinous property, just like fortune comes like magnet, no matter how you are controlling your routine to be able to predict its outcome. The factor divinal wish will be there. Besides, since some Chinese fortune-telling methods uses sticks, it can really be sticky. The kanji of earth or ground, which is do, depicts a according to the Dong Chinese, a lump of dirt on the ground. So to remember this one, you consider the base on ground, some sense of depth, as the earth is made by many layers, and a little demonstration of its moldability. This is the character of build or make, which is tsuku. The left part represents walk and the right part originally represented a picture of a grass according to the Dong Chinese sage. It will also say that the left part depicts a foot walking in the street and that the right part originally was the pictograph of grass but later was reanalyzed as another one. And to remember, can consider that a path is made, footprint is left when openings on nature's sprouts are made to give room to transformation, creation, and manufacture. This is the character of person, Hito. It depicts the side view of a standing man highlighting an arm and a leg according to the dictionary. To remember, can consider that in the modern version it looks like the side view of a person walking and each arm swinging with the opposite leg. The character of hand, which is te, according to the Dong Chinese side, is a pictograph of a hand. The below inclination of vertical stroke looks like where the thumb direction will be, and the upper inclination like the top of fingers when the hand is relaxed. The character of inside or middle, which is naka, is a little complicated. The dictionary will say that it depicts a flagpole as depicted in its original form. Based on archaeological evidence, the middle box has been interpreted as a drum. This flagpole with drum was placed in the center of a field to gather people and to detect the direction of the wind. To remember and consider that the concept of inside implies that there are two actors being observed, just like above and below. It is a comparison of one to another. In this case, the vertical line object of study compared to an object representing its plane area and its area, so in a bigger picture, they both occupy the same area in a certain point and extent. And the concept of middle can consider that it marks the center of the other object in the middle. This is the character of loss or hurt, which is son. It depicts on the left part a hand and on the right part a cooking pot, according to the Dong Chinese. I put here a picture showing a tripod, cooking pot, important in Chinese history, and because I wanted to depict that one, it kind of combines if you consider the oldest versions of the right part of the character. I think it fits nicely. So the Dong Chinese say that the left part represents a hand and the right part depicts the round opening of a cooking pot. So to remember, you can consider that the older forms of the right character looks like the ancient Chinese cooking pot, tripod, used for rituals, and tossing a cooking pot will have you hurt, injured, or damaged because it's hot, but it can also be very heavy if that's the case of the tripod. There can even be loss depending on the situation. The character of oneself, which is Ji, is a pictograph of a nose according to the Dong Chinese. To remember and consider that the modern form looks like a nose seen from below. A nose depicts well the concept because it's on the center of our face. Our contact with the world is mainly by eyes and facial expressions shows most of what is felt. The nose is one of the first things we see from near us, but it's also the most close entrance to the supposed place of the self is. I mean, you don't feel like yourself is on your foot because it makes more sense to be near the head, where most of your senses are linked to and your first camera mode gets the images from. Can you associate that appearance with opening the front camera by mistake, the selfie one? Usually in that angle since we use phones in resting arms pose. The character of part or minutes is bun. In the pics, according to the Chinese, a knife being used to cut two things apart. So when we are talking about jibun, it seems like you are separating the self from the others, like that. The character of feeling or told, which is E, represents, we can see down there a heart, and up there we can see a tongue sticking out of the mouth. And the Dong Chinese say that the thought is the sound that comes from the mind. The verse 5 says, Then the word of the Lord came to me, saying, その時、主の言葉が私に臨んだ。The character of time or hour, which is Toki, depicts the sun plus this other character. I like to sing to remember that this right part depicts the earth up there and down there, the character of, when you're feeling the pulse, that other character, because that helps a lot to remember, because then we can consider to remember that it's the rhythm of the earth related to the sun, because the earth beats got rhythm, but the oldest forms is some sort of footprint of the sun, and that I find such a charming concept. Like you see the sun and you see its footprint. At that footprint, it was that moment. I really like the old concept, The verse 6 will say, O house of Israel, can I not do with you as this potter, says the Lord? Look, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand, O house of Israel. It says, 主は王せられるイスラエルの家よ、この陶器師がしたように、私もあなた方にできないのだろうか。イスラエルの家よ、陶器師の手に粘土があるように、あなた方は私の手の内にある。And lastly, the character of look up or respect, which is awe. and it depicts a person kneeling, looking up to a person standing, and it represents to exalt a person according to the Dong Chinese. And to remember, it's like just like the encouragement to someone that's looking now. And so we are done. I hope you enjoyed this study. May God bless your day.